Turn it up.
Ah, yes, working to turn it up. And we have the great guest, Fatty Vautin.
They've given you a segment to host. That, mate, that will do me.
Well, we borrowed Turn It Up. You wrote a book called Turn It Up,
Yeah,
so
I
I
did.
want to
There was a
apologise for
Turn
that.
It Up.
You get royalties for this?
No, that book, yeah.
There it is.
That sold about 8 copies.
Who chose the picture?
Hey,
And the tie.
We're at Suncorp, the old Lang Park.
Yeah.
You got signed by Manly. Was there a try or a game where Manly identified you as
Well,
a player of some promise?
I played for Western Brisbane my senior year in 1978 and the semi-final against
we go.
Valley. So this is me. This try actually got me to Sydney. I ran, it's about 70 metres. I could actually run back in those days. Look at the footage, it's almost in black and white. But that out of that try, I started getting goal kicker, with the goal kicking, by the way, about 2/3 of the way through the year. Because, mate, I'm making 1,000 tackles and 100 runs, and I'm trying to kick goals from the sideline. I couldn't even breathe. So my coach, Donny Oxman, come to me, right, and he goes, "Champ, look, you're kicking at about 31%. We're going to take the kicking off you." I said, "Thank God for that." But anyway, just so out of that particular try, I had 3 clubs approach me. Cronulla rang me and went down there and spoke to them. Now, I was on $100 a year was my contract for Western Brisbane, right?
Overpaid?
No. And so Cronulla offered me $6,000 a year. They'd just been beaten by Manly in the 78 grand final. And but I didn't really want to go there. And then Tommy Bishop had got the North Sydney job. And he came to our place and he offered me, and I said to my dad said to me, "We don't never take the first offer, right?" So Tommy Bishop spits out, "We're going to offer you $7,500 per year for 3 years." And my old man goes, "Oh, we'll take it." He said, "That's more than I earn." He was a train driver, right? So talk about a sliding door moment. Our club president was there, a bloke called Huey Kelly, lovely guy, and he says to Tommy, "We've invested a lot of money in Paul, and he's on a big contract with West, right? 100 a year. So we're going to impose a $6,000 transfer fee." So he goes back, he rings 2 days later and says, "Mate, North Sydney, no, they don't want to pay the transfer fee, so sorry, you won't be coming." I signed with Manly 2 days later. Ken Arthurson also saw the footage, and I signed there for $6,000 for 3 years and played there for 11 years.
Tell us about that. Tell us about living over the Northern Beaches.
Loved
favourite
it.
team, Logan.
Absolutely loved it.
When I hear you talk about them,
yeah,
there's a massive affection.
No,
for the
there
Northern
is,
Beaches.
because I drove down, and you know what? I said goodbye to Mum and Dad, and I said, "You know what? This is what I said to Dad. I'll probably play reserve grade for 3 years, and then I'll come back and rejoin West." So I get down there. I actually played first grade in the first game of the year against the Dragons. It was amazing standing around and looking at Terry Randall, who was my idol, having watched him play for New South Wales here at Lang Park. You know, Johnny Gibbs, still my best mate. You know, Max Krilich, Alan Thompson, Russell Gardner, Graham Eady. It was like I'm going, what am I doing here? But I trained as hard as I could, and I eventually got into first grade. Had a magnificent look. 1979 is almost my favourite year. It was just great. And then from there, we had a different set of coaches, and then Bob Fulton turned up in 1983, and he really changed the way that we played. He's the first guy, he's a great coach, first guy I know that he split the field into 10-metre zones. So we started what he called patterns of play. We just work to the 50, we'll go the other 50, we'll work to the 70 and come back, all that sort of stuff. He was magnificent, and eventually to win a comp under his coaching in 1987. And, you know, I was captain, but just one part of a great team. Mick O'Connor, actually, he came to Manly in 87 and he changed. Dale Shearer was, every player that year, I reckon, played the best they've ever played. And that's what it takes to win a comp. So I had a great career there at Manly. It was fantastic.
Fat, even today, you look like you love the game of rugby league. Was that always the case?
Yeah. My old man, he was a train driver, right? And he worked on the old steam trains. He would come home at 8 o'clock in the morning, covered in soot, and he'd get to the start of the hallway. We had about a 5-metre hallway. And he'd go one step and I'd be around his legs at the age of 5 and 6. And he'd said to us, "Ain't the good tackle, son?" And it was always hits, slide, block, bang, and down he'd go, you know. So, and he encouraged me, and that's the way I started to tackle and always tackled, yeah. So I loved it right from the... And Dad used to bring me here at Lang Park in the mid-60s, 64, 65, all the way through, and we used to follow West, and yeah, it was great.
Rugby League week, mate.
Rugby League week?
Yes, Rugby League week.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Which one? I think I know what you're going to bring up. So I signed to go to Manly.
Oh, look at something. Mate, you're packing heat.
I was obviously pretty excited to have this photo shoot done. Well, that's only a halfer. Anyway, so they get me at like 8:30 in the morning. I said, we're going to take some photos. You're going to Manly. We want to do a story on you. And so there I am. Look at that body.
See where they signed you.
That was the last time I did a weight in my life. Anyway, no, it was great. Rugby League, I wish it was still around. Magnificent.
Another big part of your life was the Footy show.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like, the start of it? Like, there'd never been a show like that, really, in sport, like, you know, bringing in that whole light side of it. And, you know, what was that whole experience like, the Footy show?
It was so much fun. So we started doing the Sunday Footy show in 1993. And on a Sunday, it was quite successful. I was hosting and, you know, with Peter Sterling and Blocker. And then Gary Burns, our boss, came to us and said, I think I can get you two imbeciles and do a nighttime, primetime show at 9:30. We'll get some people around you and we'll do this 9:30. And we said, mate, how's that going to work? Well, we just did it, you know. And I remember the first show we did had all these scripts written out and all this stuff I was supposed to read. And I said, mate, this stuff's horrendous. Who wrote this? This is garbage. And there's a bloke sitting in the corner. He goes, oh, I did it. I said, mate, with all due respect, I can't read that out. You know what? I'm just going to wing it. And Gary Burns' head went like this. He said, you're going to... I said, yeah, we'll wing it. Don't worry about it, Gaz. And we walked out for the first show and Sterlo gets here and he goes, are you sure you're going to wing it? I said, yeah, watch this. And so that's how it was born. And it was just a great fun show to do. And, you know, the last thing I said to whoever was on the show, just enjoy yourselves, boys, have some fun.
Well, you spoke about Gary Burns.
Yeah.
He was the boss of sport, the big boss, the great Kerry Packer.
Yeah.
Any dealings with
You know what?
Kerry?
I did, during the Super League thing, right? And and at the back of that, Manly and Norths were offered $10 million each by the ARL to merge. And I was actually on the board at the time. I didn't want to merge because the clubs didn't like each other and it would have been a money thing and it wouldn't have worked. But Kerry Packer, his secretary, rings me up and she goes, oh, hello, Paul. I said, I'm from Mr. Packer's office. And I knew James quite well. He said, Mr. Packer, I'd love you to come in. I said, oh, say good day to James for me. He said, no, it's not James, it's Kerry. I said, oh my God. So, and drove straight into Hyde Park. And there he is. I walk into his office and he's got the legs up, he's got a bunger in his mouth. Sit down, son, we need to talk. So it was all about, Bozo had rung him about Norton. He goes, they tell me you don't want to merge, why is that? And I said, well, mate, we don't like each other. He said, look at this team. He had this team. I said, mate, the salary cap on that team would be about 21 million. I said, the salary cap at the moment's about 4. He said, oh, I can fix that. Haven't you heard of cash? Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and this is 1999, right? And he's a big Footy show fan. And he says to me, he said, so you're a TV star now, son? I said, oh, mate, I don't go for that TV star garbage. I said, it's just a job to me. He goes, just a job, is it? Working at Channel 9. No, mate, this is the best job I've ever had. And he goes, and then I listen to this. He says to me, what about your mate Sterling? He's going bald. I said, oh, how bad would it be to be bald? Right? And so I'm just staring at him. And I say, although I'll tell you what, some people can pull it off pretty well, Kerry. I had 2 hours with him, a most amazing 2 hours nearly of my life. It was incredible.
Yeah.
To listen to his wisdom. He knew television, right? He knew what worked. And so at the time, the Footy show was always a bit of criticism about, you know what, it doesn't talk footy. All they're doing is talking garbage and having fun. Kerry Packer, the last thing he said to me, as I was walking out, he said, "Oh, by the way, son," he said, "just one more thing." "Yes, Mr. Packer." He goes, "Make me laugh." Thursday night, make me laugh. And that's what, he said, that's a good plan.
Well, you're next, you're next to the Origin coach here. What about your experience at Origin coach in 95?
Yeah.
You won 3-0.
We did. So it was an amazing experience.
Fatty's Neville's? Was that
Yeah, that was it, yeah. So Wayne Bennett was supposed to be the coach. The Super League war had hit. He resigned because he knew that we weren't going to pick any Broncos. So we just picked this team, you know, second graders, never wasers, just guys who needed a chance, and somehow it worked. Yeah. I think at the time, look, I'm no great coach, right? I think at the time, though, I was the person that they probably needed just to instill confidence in them. And that was all you needed. All I needed was to spill a bit of Queensland juice on them, and away they went, mate. They did the job. They were absolute Queensland juice.
Where do you buy that at?
But mate, that was the greatest experience of my life doing that.
Hey,
and you guys were in the opposing team. Well, what did you think?
Couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
really.
No.
Our team on paper compared to yours.
Well, you had 11 internationals. We had none.
Well, Fat, we played a game of golf. This was before that I became the Queensland coach, and I left that game of golf feeling your passion for this state, feeling your passion for this footy team, this place here. What does the Queensland Rugby League team mean to you, and why did I leave that golf game feeling that passion?
Because I was never the greatest player in the world, but just getting into that Queensland jumper meant so much to me. And I'll tell you why. My dad played in the 50s, and he played for Western Brisbane. They won a comp, but he only ever got chosen once to play in a rep team, right? And there was to represent Brisbane against the Great Britain touring team. Would have been magnificent for him to play at the Gabba. On the Sunday, he picked up a nick on his eye and it got infected, and he missed out on playing his only rep team. So I said to myself, I'm going to do it for Dad. And I just love playing for Queensland, pulling on that jumper. And you know what? When I'm standing on this line here, and I got Wally Lewis here and Mark Murray there, and Trevor Gilmister and Greg Dowling and Gene Moles, I'm going, you know what? Let's go, boys. I'm not letting anyone through. You're not letting anyone through. Let's just go together as a team. And that's what it was like for me during the 80s. You know, it was I played for the people that I played with, for the people who I played for, who are in this crowd here, right, and all around Queensland, and for the dickheads that I played against, so to speak. You know what I mean? But it wasn't an individual thing, it wasn't a personal thing, but any one of the blue jumper, just hammer them. That was what it was all about. Simple.
You also played another game, not rugby league, but cricket.
Yeah, I love cricket.
You played an all-star game of that.
Yeah.
How did you come about that?
You've been talking about the catch.
The catch.
Celebrities, yeah.
Well, that was a great day. You want me to tell the Joel Garner story, but anyway, I won't tell that one. But it was a magnet because I loved my cricket growing up, and that day there was Doug Walters, Alan Border was obviously there, Jeff Thompson, Rod Marsh, you name it. The heroes of Australian cricket were there, and it's just, you know, it was just a great day to be there and celebrate cricket. And of course, you know, the catch. Look, Serlo said it's the greatest fluke I've ever seen, and he's right. He's dead set right, but it was just one of the best days of my life.
You've had a lot of great flukes, mate. You've had a lot of great flukes. For a bloke who puts himself down a lot, you've had a lot of great flukes in life.
Well, you know, I try hard. I've tried hard at everything I've ever done, you know.
The other part of you, Kim. Now, what's Kim meant to you? You've been on a pretty big adventure, ups and downs all through it. What's it like now at your age, still involved with footy and with the wife, Kim?
She's the best thing in my life. Been married 39 years, and she's all that matters to me, and the kids, you know, Kylie, Nikki and Matt. So the older you get, it's not about you anymore. It's about your wife and it's about your children. That's what it's all about. I couldn't be the person that I am today without her. She's guided me all the way because I'm not real smart and she is, and it was fantastic. It was actually, I met her in the bank. When I went to Sydney, I was a bank teller, and I got a job at the Commonwealth Bank in DY, and I walk in and they say, "You're Kim, right?" And they say, "You'll be working with Kim. There's your computer thing." And I looked at her and went, how good a sort is she? And I said to myself, I'm going to marry her one day, right? Anyway, 6 weeks later, I've been trying real hard, giving her all my best material, anyway, she said to me, listen, you're nothing but a red-headed niff-nuff from somewhere in Queensland. You're an absolute goose. I want nothing to do with you. I knew then I was going to marry her because that's the nicest thing she'd said to me in 6 weeks. Anyway, 5 years later, we married. Gold.
What about you played your whole career at Manly? Oh, you can answer this one too. All you want to do was play there, and then it ended and you went to the Roosters?
Yeah.
How much did that hurt?
That hurt a lot. So, crying now. I'm playing there on the Comp 87, 88, 89, and I'm still playing okay, obviously, because I was on tour with the Australian team in New Zealand, a vice captain under Wally, under Bob Fulton's coaching. And I started to hear whispers that I was going to be punted from Manly, you know. We hadn't had a great year. So I get back and then Doug Daly calls me in and gives me the bad news that we don't want you here anymore. We have to make you an offer by law. Apparently it has something to do with the ARL. I was on 95,000 at the time, and then we're going to offer you 50. But instead of, I was hot-headed. Instead of it's going, all right, I'll take that on board, let me go away and think about it, I give them a massive spray and said, you can stick it right up your Khyber, right, I'm off. And that was it. And I drove home to my house at Wheeler Heights, and I got out of the car and I said to Kim, I think it's over. And I cried. I actually cried because I had to leave Manly. And look, I went to the Roosters. I was very thankful that they actually offered me a contract. I was obviously 30 by then. And my first year at the Roosters in 1990, I was awful. I was absolutely disgusting. I wasn't fit, and I played awful, right? And it wasn't until the end of the year, I rang Jack Gibson, who'd taken over, and I said, Jack, how about I'll just retire, mate. Just pay me out my last year, I was hoping. And you know what Jack said? And I thank him for it. He said, you know what, son, that'd be too easy. He said, tell you what I'll do. He said, you can come back fit and well and be the player that I know that you can be, right, in January next year, or you can go and play for Bondi United in the local park comp to earn your money. Jack, I'll see you January 1. I came back, I lost about 10 kilos. I came back at 91 kilos. And, mate, I actually had a really, really good year. Mark Murray was our coach. And there was a peace offering between me and Jack. He turned up one day at training and he had a nice shirt on, beautiful blue denim shirt. I said, nice shirt, Jack. 2 days later, because we'd had a few words, he gave me the shirt. He said, mate, this is for you. I knew then that we were good. I actually had a really good year, and at the end of the year, I decided enough was enough and retired, 1991.
Oh, thanks for your time, Fat. That was
Sweet,
amazing.
mate.
We could go all day.
Yeah.
We
What
can
else
get
you
into
got?
really good stuff later on. But, yeah, thanks for your time.
Well
And
hosted, mate. You
very
are
much.
good.
Stay with us after the break for more of the Footy Show. Hello and welcome to Turn It Up. We've got a special guest today, try-scoring phenomenon. Did you say that?
That'll do.
Nathan Blacklock, thank you for coming down. Tinga, first, where is Tinga in New South Wales?
Northwest New South Wales, Inverell, Armidale around that area, so New England.
How far from Sydney?
On a flight it's only an hour, but the driving maybe 6-7 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, growing up in Tinga, population now is around 770 people. Three best mates, yourself, Preston Campbell, Owen Craigie, probably PJ Ellis. PJ played for the Roosters, but...
And Dragons.
Owen Craigie and Preston Campbell, grand finals, Dally M. How'd you all make it in the NRL?
I couldn't tell you. I just breathed rugby league, playing footy. Like, we were never home. Remember me and Presto, Mum would send us, Sunday school. We'd go to the front door, out the back door, and then up straight to the footy oval. So, we'd spend all that time just playing footy. Every afternoon we just played touch footy. We're just sort of in our blood, like grew up with. So, yeah.
It's a pretty isolated place, Tinga, and it's a fair way away.
Yeah.
Also, like making the decision to come down to Sydney, and those initial sort of weeks and months living in Sydney, what were they like?
We're pretty good. Arthur Beetson come to home, and he he come up. And one thing I love about Arthur was not only when I did make, playing first grade, he was always kept me grounded, and he always knew how important home was to me. So he gave me the opportunity to go back home all the time. So it was part of my contract.
So the other two guys, they ended up at different NRL clubs. You ended up at the Dragons.
Yep.
How did that come about?
My 2 years was up with the Roosters, and then I got a phone call from my manager saying Ricky Wolf was retired. So I'm thinking, I've got big shoes to fill, filling Ricky's spots. So that's how it come about.
I didn't realise you played for the Roosters.
Yeah. I think when Freddie, when he first come there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about your mate,
said good day to him,
Anthony Mundine? A lot of the clips we see of you celebrating and scoring tries and the combo with Anthony Mundine. Tell us about your relationship with Choc.
Oh, Mun was just fun. We get to training early. I remember going to training 2 hours before training. We enjoyed each other's company. We'd be scheming stuff at training. We'd be playing cricket. He's the best tennis player. He's the best bowler. He's the best batsman. But that's Mun. But
He's a great basketball too.
Oh yeah. He's a very good, very talented human. So, but mate, we just played what was in front of us. Just went out and enjoyed footy.
You read the way he played. I'd say everyone else would have struggled to play because he was so off the cuff. How did you know what he was going to do?
You just anticipated. You knew what he could do, and sitting back watching him do that, you had to be up there with him, knowing what he's capable of. You just knew if he done something, you just got to support it, and that was my thing, was just to anticipate the talent of the players I'm playing with.
You say that word, anticipate. What does that mean to you? And explain what you would feel or what would you look for when there was a try, because no one was better.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you go at the game, you can either sit and watch the game, but you're watching the game on the field with the players, or you can go out and play the game. And I went and played the game every minute of the game. Not only was I counting tackles, I was actually anticipating plays that had ability to break the line or had the ability to beat a player one-on-one. And whenever you see a player beat a player one-on-one, you had to be on the ball. And watching that from where I was, I just knew I just had to be wary of that. And I did that in training as well. So.
You obviously watch footy now. Who are some of the players that have got that talent?
Oh, it's frustrating. But Pappenhausen, Brian, mate, his anticipation is amazing. Like, I love watching him play. Just being on the ball all the time. So he's always there.
Any big blokes that got anticipation? Like, I think when we think about anticipation, we're always thinking about the fast blokes. But do you spot any big blokes out there that have it?
Yeah. Is it plays for the Roosters, the big bloke?
Yeah, Lindsay Collins.
Yeah, mate, I love watching him play. Like, he's either kick chase, he's either, the first one to kick with the bomb up, he's the first one there, but he's always anticipating those opportunities, and it's good to see.
He was a former winger, wasn't he, Lindsay?
Well, his grandfather played for Australia on the wing, Lionel Williamson.
Lionel Williamson, yeah.
So I don't know if Lindsay ever played on the wing.
Big winger.
Just tossing it. What about your heroes growing up? Who were your heroes?
Oh, made a couple back to play in the local comp. Guys like, Craig Connor, some just family members that I knew. But growing up was around Ewan McGrady, because he's close to home. And watching him play was a big thing. Just watching the way they played was the way we played.
For the Moree Boomerangs?
Yeah, for the Boomerangs, yeah. So.
You played on the wing, Nathan, but a lot of your highlights is you going through the middle of the field. Did you just get bored out there, or do you want to go in and play a bit of footy?
Anticipating.
Yeah.
I was anticipating, on the middle of the field.
Anticipating going to get left out there.
I'm bored out here. I want to go in the field. Yeah. As a young kid growing up, I played in the halves. Yeah. So, and Dave Waite said to me, you're playing first grade, but it's on the wing. I remember saying, I don't care where I play, I just want to play rugby league. Yeah. So, and he said, just go in field, just do what you do, and I guess, that's what I've done.
Another fellow who's from up that way, Bevan French. He's over in England now. He was a winger at Parramatta and he's playing 5'8". St Helens? Wigan. Playing for Wigan 5'8". Do we expect for him to come back soon? Or?
Mate, I think he's signed another couple of years.
He just re-signed long
term. Yeah, he's enjoying it over there. And I see him at home a few times and he's happy. Like, he comes home, he spends time in the community, with family and friends. He's happy over there. I guess him being over there, it's home for him. So I'm glad to see him going well.
What's rugby league like in the Aboriginal communities?
Oh, it's everything. Every kid out there watches rugby league. It's every Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sundays. It's a big thing for communities. It breaks a lot of barriers and gives a lot of our kids opportunity.
Indigenous round, and we also have the All-Star event at the start of the year.
Yep.
How much would you have enjoyed playing in the All-Stars, and what does Indigenous round mean to you?
Oh man, I remember Dave Lydiard invited me to play with the Dream Team in the Sevens. That was the biggest thing, but it would have been great to play, with the side. And I guess the Indigenous round means a lot because it gets, not only are you as an individual playing for your team, but you are playing for your community. You are playing, so it goes a lot deeper than that. So you get to showcase your culture as well. So it's it's rugby league means a lot in communities. It really does.
What about now? Where you're living?
Oh,
You're
man,
out, you're out of the big smoke.
Out of the big smoke. I'm happy back home. I got a place 20 k's out of Tamworth, Katingal, Moombi area. So not too far. I've never lived in town. I don't plan to. So it's good. I don't get many visitors.
So you're on a little farm there.
Yeah, a little farm there. Yeah, a couple of cows and.
The last time I saw Ting was we were driving on our bikes, and I called Ting up and we spoke to each other. He goes, "I'll be out the front." And then 20 k's out, there's Ting on the motorbike. Hey, Freddie,
it wasn't a Harley too with the dirt bike this time. It was in one piece. So.
You do a bit with the community up there, especially in and around the kids?
Yeah. Love doing stuff with the young kids up there, doing school programs, but just empowering young kids to chase their dreams. Not just, Indigenous kids, but all kids.
Yep.
I love helping them and seeing them achieve their goals, but just being consistent with them and showing you care, it really means a lot.
Because some of those regional areas, youth crime is out of control at the moment, stealing cars and stuff like that. Are you trying to get in the community to help these young kids who are going off the rails?
Mate, I think I'm trying to, but I guess they got to be held accountable as well. Only so much I could do. It's up to members themselves and the I'd say the court system to hold them accountable for that. But I'm trying to organise a meeting with a magistrate back home in Inverell.
Okay.
Help with the young kids back up home and put back in as a AMS up there, Armagen, that I'm working with as well. They've been really good with supporting me in that.
So in your community, are you known now as an elder in the Aboriginal community?
I'm called uncle. Everyone calls me uncle now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, how does that make you feel?
At start, I'm like, man, don't call me uncle. But now it's sign of respect.
Sign of respect.
Yeah. And plus I got grey hair, so that's why I'm always wearing a hat everywhere I go. Got a hat on, so yeah.
And golf. I didn't know you were a golfer. Now, your handicap is +3.
Oh, mate.
Explain to people what +3 means.
I wouldn't say +3, but I'm 3 over before I even start. So, but yeah, just getting out and playing best I can, which I, thank the guys at Ping, Paul and Pete Rosser, for looking after me. They've helped me up nicely.
So that sounds like you could actually compete at a high level if you got that handicap. You ever thought about that?
Oh, it's always in the back of my mind. So, yeah.
Never too old, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
When was the last time you did a backflip?
It wasn't a backflip, but it was a front flip. My young bloke had at assembly about 2 k's down the road, so I said, I'll jump on the scooter. I was going down the highway, and anybody out there going down Denman Avenue, top of Denman Avenue, Cootie, I'm on the scooter, and I got a bit too fast, so I jumped off, and then I went 1, 2 rolls and got up on my feet, so I landed it. But I got some skin off my elbow and my back, so yeah. So that was the only time I done them.
A huge figure in rugby league at the moment now is Latrell Mitchell. What do you think about Latrell? And tell me, when you watch him play, how does it make you feel?
Oh, mate, he's like, he loves his community like me. There's a lot of attention drawn to him. But I guess it's he's playing rugby league, he's out doing his best, and it's good to see him getting more involved. But unfortunately, they're going to nitpick him for the smallest things. But I guess off the field, he's such, a value to the community, which is good to see.
There was some talk after the Ezra Mam incident in Las Vegas, and Latrell and Chalk obviously a couple of important people in your life sort of on social media went out a little bit. How'd that make you feel?
Oh, mate, I looked at it and I said, I'm not reading that. So I didn't get involved because I read a bit of it, but I don't know the circumstances of that. I don't know what the full story is. So I read a bit and it was, it's I guess it's hearsay, but I sort of stayed away from it and just went back to watching my TikToks or whatever. So yeah,
Hitting the golf ball.
hitting the golf ball.
And you went to the dark side. Played rugby union.
I did. There was a time in my life where that was the moment I lost my old man. I think when I went on tour with the Australian
2001?
side, yeah, with you guys, and lost my old man at the time, and he was always my my.
Oh, stop it!
Yeah, he was always
How was that?
made me advice, So losing him was a big thing to me. I thought a change would help. So
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
You miss playing?
No, not at all. My young bloke, me and him play, little Nate, me and him play a bit at the backyard, but I try and avoid it.
We spoke to Cliff Lyons the other day. Like, he's still playing tag and touch.
Yeah.
He's, what's he got to be, 60?
Yeah, I do a bit with the Arthur Beeston Foundation, so we're going to Mareeba in a couple of weeks, so play with the boys up there, Matty Bowen, a few of the guys are playing up there. Big Petro's playing.
Petro runs that. He has a lot to do with the Arthur Beats. Charity, yeah.
Petro's still
Blocker.
playing.
Yeah.
Folding
Petro?
people in half.
Oh,
Imagine trying to tackle Petro now.
He's
Saw him the other
still
week.
fit too.
How big is he? He's getting bigger.
I think they'd be more worried about Nathan and Matty Bowen than Petro.
Mate, you could actually start Shane Webke and Petro in a first grade team at the moment. Like, I don't know how long they last, but mate, Webke's the same. He looks like a
oh,
brick.
yeah.
You're saying Ewan McGrady still plays?
Oh, yeah, Panreeba's still playing. Yeah, he plays with the boys up there.
It's unbelievable.
I don't know how he does it, but he looks fit, it's amazing the older you get.
Do you like coming back to Sydney?
Not really. I fly in today and I'm flying straight back out. So, yeah. I'm happy to leave.
When you were down here, how homesick did you used to get?
Oh, man. If we weren't training, I'd get bored and say, can I go home? That's probably one of the positive things with Arthur. He said,
So here, then, your contract, you could go home? Or...
Yeah. Fly home. So they gave me a relocation fee, which I used on flying back home. And made me realise, the more I went back home, made me realise the more I've got to succeed in what I do, because I understood what it meant to my parents and my family. So, yeah.
Mate, this has been so good to have you on. Thanks so much. And you know what? It's good to see you in such a happy place. Thanks for coming down.
No, my pleasure, my man.
Cheers.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks a lot, mate.
No,
Stay with us after the break, more of the Sunday Footy Show. That was so good.
No.
So you want to be a champion? Turn it up.
Hello and welcome to Turn It Up. Leave me alone, you blokes. And for me, the greatest of all time, Cameron Smith. For a Queenslander, that hurts to say. Cameron Smith from Logan. Where's Logan and what sort of town is it?
Logan's it's in between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, so just down the highway from the capital. Very working class sort of area, blue collar area. But yeah, that's my entire childhood. I look back, Joey, and all with fond memories.
And you grew up in a rugby league family. Your dad actually played against the King.
Yeah, he did, yeah. So my old man, he played at East Tigers. Been around for a long, long time, that footy club. And had a lot of success in the early days as well. And played a little bit of footy against Wally when Wally was first starting out. Wally was playing at Valleys, young lock, and yeah, even back then the old man said like he was a quality player.
And we've got the author of your book, Andrew Webster.
Yes,
The ghostwriter.
The great
Webby.
Andrew Webster.
Yeah, did a wonderful job too, mate.
Thank you. It sold well. It sold just about as many as yours.
What'd you learn
Well
about?
done.
What I learned.
A lot of people, the thing is with Cam, a lot of people don't know you. They know you as the footballer. I don't know if a lot of people know actually what you're like and what you're about. What'd you learn about Cam?
Well, going into it, I don't know if you're aware or not. You're a polarising character during your career. And when I interviewed Cameron, so that was the end of 19, was it? It must be the end of 19.
That's when we started, yeah.
That's when we started, and I went down to Melbourne and And I forgot how cold it was in Melbourne. Like, so I didn't take any. I took one jumper, it was a Dragons hoodie. So I knock on the door and wearing a Dragons hoodie. But we sat in the back in Cameron's backyard for a week. We only did one interview at the pub, which I thought was great restraint. And I just like he opened up and it was like, you know, just a good, you know, without being too sycophantic. Like it was so easy to talk to. Good knockabout guy, you know. To me it just showed you the difference that you get, the perception of a player and what a player is actually like. And, you know, he came from a working class background, made the most of his abilities, and you know, I just thought the thing I got out of it was just how much Cameron had been bashed up by certain elements of the media, and that was a good lesson for everybody not to listen to those elements of the media because it doesn't necessarily reflect what the person's like.
Where'd you get the ability? Like, I don't think anyone has ever come into the game, even as a young bloke, so mature and so calm under the pressure of a game. Where does that come from?
Oh, Freddie, it's hard to explain that because I think it's a reflection of, you know, me as a person. I think that's just my personality or my nature. I'm pretty laid back and easygoing. You know, I've worked alongside you guys now for a couple of years, and you probably noticed that a bit. But you know, footy was something that always seemed easy to me, and something that was really enjoyable. So I think that's why I was just out there having fun. And you know, there's no doubt I learned a lot from you know, a lot of my junior coaches. I was lucky; I had some great junior coaches. You know, my young days back at Logan Brothers, and but you know, I learned so much from my old man. So when I first started playing rugby league as a 7 or 8 year old, my dad was coaching sort of the older teams, right, the 15, 16, 17s. I'd finish my training early, then I'd duck in and I'd listen to his meetings that he'd be having with the older boys. I'd join in with their training sessions. So I was learning stuff probably well beyond my years at that stage. So I had a pretty good education of the game growing up. And once we got into the NRL, I had to learn a few things, right? Like
what?
Well, just in the early parts of you know, my career at Melbourne, so when Craig first turned up, it was our first pre-season with Craig, so going into 03, he pulled me aside after one session and just said, mate, look, how do you think you're going with your training? And I said, oh, look, I feel good, I'm making all my times and I'm reaching all my targets. And he just said, look, I feel as though you're just training within yourself a bit. You're doing what you have to do to get through it. And he just went on to explain, look, I've been around the game for a long time, and yeah, the good players, they do that, right? You can have a good career just by doing what you're doing at the moment, but the great players, they make themselves uncomfortable. They push themselves, they get the very best out of themselves every day. And so I sort of went home that afternoon and had a little bit of a think about it and thought, well, you know, like this is a guy has seen a lot of football, he's been around some great players. And, you know, why not? What's it going to hurt to try that? And from that day on, I tried that. And, you know, without that conversation, who knows? Like, I don't know where my career would have gone.
You grew up in southeast Queensland. Every kid pretty much aspires to be a Bronco. The Broncos won the comp in 06 and then pretty much plateaued. But they missed a generation of Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, Jonathan Thurston. When Melbourne would play against Brisbane, they were your best games. Did you have a point to prove or a bee in your bonnet?
A little bit, Joey. I reckon particularly early on. Not so much at the end, but and I think they come with a bit of maturity. But yeah, like there's no doubt that we had great results against Melbourne, against Brisbane, sorry, at the Melbourne Storm, and there was a contingent of us, right? There was, you know, myself, Billy, Cooper. You know, you throw Dallas Johnson in there as well, all Queenslanders, and I grew up idolising the Broncos. Idolised them.
So did that hurt that they didn't pick
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. And, you know, there were guys, and you probably heard JT tell a similar story. He and I grew up in that same age group, playing in the similar competition in Brisbane as juniors. And there was a handful of guys that were sort of picked above us or,
Who was that?
or given
Who are some
opportunities.
of the names?
Don't need to name. You don't need to name.
Come on.
No, I can name them because I'm good mates with them. Daniel Jones, Dane Campbell.
Dane Campbell played at the Knights.
Yeah, he played at the Knights. He's now, I think he's head of recruitment at the Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah.
And there's a little halfback, Mick Daly, who was an incredible footballer, like at a very young age. So they were the guys that they were sort of given scholarships and you know, sort of junior contracts with the Broncos. And JT and myself, as kids, you get a little bit jealous, a little bit envious of the situation.
Because you haven't got the tracksuit.
That's right.
But didn't Bennett, so Anthony Griffin was at the Storm. He identified you, but didn't Bennett try to get you to backflip at the last minute?
Well, it wasn't so much backflip. I don't know the full story, but what happened was I was approached by the Melbourne Storm through Anthony Griffin. So Hook was the one that sort of he identified me in a state championship, under 17 state championship up in Rockhampton. Mark Murray was also a part of that sort of recruitment sort of group with the Melbourne Storm. So I went and met those two with my mum and dad and sat down and spoke about what their plans would be for me if I was to join the Melbourne Storm. And not long after, we received a phone call from the Broncos, and I actually went and sat in Wayne Bennett's office at Red Hill. One of the most intimidating, it wasn't long, it was about 15 minutes, most intimidating 15 minutes of my life. Just given, what he'd done as a coach, and as I said, the way I looked at the Broncos and always wanted to be a Bronco. But we walked away from both of those meetings, and I look back on the conversation I had with my mum and dad. Selfishly, from their view, they could have said, "Mate, sign with the Broncos," to keep me close to home and whatnot. But they just said, "Mate, look, where do you think is going to be your greatest opportunity to play? Your dream is to play NRL. Where is that going to be?" And it ended up being Melbourne.
And the rest is history.
How intense was bellyache early on there?
Extremely.
What was his nickname? Dog. There's a chapter called Dog Head.
Dog Head,
which is a term that's been used.
Well, yeah, that sort of come up. I think Matty Geyer and myself come up with that nickname, and that was because, well, you see it now, right? When he gets angry, when he gets a little bit upset, he starts frothing at the mouth like a dog with rabies. So he got that term, but.
Do you think he had rabies?
At some stage, yeah, in those blow-ups. But look, he and I have a really, really strong relationship. At the end, to be fair, it wasn't like I didn't look at him as my coach, and I don't think he viewed me as one of his players or captain of his footy side. I think we're just a couple of mates involved in rugby league, and I think that relationship started quite early. With my laid-back nature and how intense he was, I just tried to find ways to break him down early because it was so intense. No player at the Storm were used to that. Opes was the coach there, right?
Anderson.
So he was all about training hard. You guys would have experienced it. Train hard, then have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
On a couple of the kangaroo tours, you'd understand
Glorious.
that. But, and the older Storm guys, spoke about that. But with Craig coming in, they were just like, we have not experienced anything like this, just on all the time. So. Yeah, as a young fellow, I thought this bloke, he can't be like this 24/7. So I just tried to find ways to break him down, and I think that's where the relationship started.
Now, the other love, Queensland. We'll talk about the footy in a sec, but what about Queensland in general? Like if there's a golfer on the other side of the world, they say they're a Queenslander. If there's a swimmer, the commentators will say they're a Queenslander. If there's any athlete or person in the world, they'll say they're a Queenslander before an Australian. What is it about people who grow up in Queensland, and where does it come from?
I think it's just ingrained in you, Freddie, just from a very young age. And I think it comes from sport in particular. All the teams that represent our state, and you're just proud to represent all the people and everything about that area of our country, and you take ownership of it. If you ever get the opportunity to wear that maroon jersey. Whether it be at the elite level of state of origin, or you're playing junior schoolboys or schoolgirls or any junior club sort of stuff, it's an opportunity that everyone really aspires to get, and everyone's really proud of exactly where they're from.
How did you feel going into your last Origin game, that 17 series, up at Lang Park, Suncorp? New South Wales had won the first game but lost the second game in Sydney. It was a great opportunity. I remember being in the rooms afterwards and seeing you, Joey. You were as angry as anyone. Boyd Cordner was almost in tears. But there've been a lot of criticism of Cameron for not running the ball enough. Do you remember?
Yeah,
the lead up to that game?
No, I do, and I think I knew in myself that I hadn't played all that well in the first couple. I was out there doing a lot of work defensively and trying to guide the team around with the ball, but I hadn't really made an impact with any of my running. Now, I wasn't an out-and-out runner of the football like you see some dummy halves. I played with a bit more subtlety and things like that around the play of the ball, but I just hadn't offered enough. And, you know, speaking with Kevy was great because he was always encouraging me, you know, to run the football. And he said, mate, like sometimes you just, like, it's okay to be a little bit more selfish and have a run every now and again, because if you have a good run, then positive things come about it. But I remember walking off that field in Sydney where, you know, that famous goal kick by JT, he had the busted shoulder, played half a game with a busted shoulder, which Joey was a little bit upset about. That New South Wales didn't get at him. This kick right here, like one of the biggest plays that any individual's come up with in that arena.
Amazing.
So he's got us into a decider at Suncorp, and the moment I walked off that field, I knew exactly what I had to do, you know, for this team in Game 3, and you know, I had myself prepared for it. And look, not knowing either, Webby, that game was going to be my last Origin game.
You didn't know?
Didn't know.
Well, that happened. We went down to Melbourne actually to speak to Craig. We went to training, and that's where actually someone wrote about the music at training. The reason we had music at training, we went to Melbourne and they used to play music, and I thought, this is an awesome atmosphere. You know, they used to play it before training, and actually we went to training, went and spoke to Craig a little bit, and then Craig goes, mate, I can't talk to you any longer. I go, why? He goes, Cameron's just retired. It happened on that day. It was like when I was coaching, he came out on the day we went down to Melbourne and said, I'm retiring from Queensland.
Bet you would have went.
Spewing.
Everyone can see how humble you are. What does it mean when, not people in the media, but your peers call you the greatest player they've seen?
I feel it's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest, Joey, because I'd never really sort of sit back and reflect too much on, you know, my career and what I was able to achieve as an individual. It was all about the team stuff. And, you know, I think myself, I'm very, very fortunate to have played in some very good rugby league sides, not just with Melbourne, but with Queensland and the Australian side as well, and be coached by some of the great coaches of our game. Without those people around me, like I don't achieve the things I do in my football career. So it is a little bit embarrassing, particularly, you know, when you have someone like yourself, you know, talking about that. But there's always going to be that argument, right, or conversation around who people regard as the best player of all time and all that sort of stuff. It's really the individual's view on how they see, you know, what they think is the best player in the game. But I look back on my career and go, look, I got to play with some of the greatest players in the game. I got to play against some of the greatest players in the game and be coached by some great people.
I think the biggest thing, when you look at the highlights, say of an Andrew Johns, a Wally Lewis, and a Cameron Smith, now your highlights really so different, but you know, the fact your longevity, you know, your ability to win games. I think the biggest thing for the game is the message you can give to young kids about what it is to, you know, what sort of mindset you need to win big games, and how do you take, you know, this athlete to get his team to win games. How do you do that? What message would you give young kids?
I just think it all starts with, you know, the work you put into your trade, and, you know, whatever sport you're playing. You know, we're talking rugby league here, but it's all about your preparation and your training. You've got to see that as important, and not think, well, you know, in all of your work and what you want to be good at, you've got to take that seriously. And there's no doubt that enjoyment is the most important part of playing sport, because if you enjoy what you do, you're going to do good things, right? But when you're working, you've got to take it seriously and want to look at getting better all the time. There's no doubt about that. This year I took on coaching my young fella under 15s, right? And that's the message I give to those young boys all the time. And it's challenging at times, right? Because 15-year-olds, they got a bit going on in their life, but you know, it's important to work hard when you need to. And I think too is, like, want to be a team person. I think that's what I always, that was my mentality, was always being about how can I help the people around me? How can I help the people around me be the best they can be? And I think if you do that, then good things come your way.
Well, thanks for being so open. Kids at home, or young footy players, there's some insight there that you'll never, ever hear any better than Cameron Smith. So stay with us after the break, more of the Sunday Footy Show.